This right here. I'm trading my sorrows, yeah, and I'm trading my pain. Said I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. Yeah, I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain, and I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. Next part says, and we'll say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, 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 Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yeah, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Come on, let's sing it together, here we go. Yeah, I'm trading my sorrows, yeah, and I'm trading my shame, and I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. Gotta lay it all down, say, and I'm trading my sickness, yeah, come on, and I'm trading my pain, and I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. Let's sing that again. Yeah, sing it again. Yeah. I'm trading my sorrow. Sing it with me. I'm trading my shame, and I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness, say, I'm trading my sickness, yeah. I'm trading my pain, and I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. Here we go, next part, everybody. And we'll say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yeah. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Come on, just surrender it and say, we'll say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Hey, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. One more time, surrender your problems and say, and we'll say, yes, Lord. Come on, you say, yes, Lord. We'll trade everything, yes, Lord. Yes, yes, Lord, amen. One more time, yes, Lord, amen. Yes, yes, Lord, amen. Last time, say, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Hallelujah.
This is the time that we preach you. A hello, a smile, a hug to bless you. You will receive something new for your life today. So keep on saying, welcome, 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 welcome to Majestic Life. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Majestic Life. This is the time that we greet you. A hello, a smile, a hug to bless you. You will receive something new for your life today. So keep on saying you are welcome, 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 welcome to Majestic Life. Welcome, welcome to Majestic Life.
Good evening. I'm so glad that all of you all have tuned in with us here at Majestic Life. We have an awesome show prepared for you on this evening. You know, it's strange times we're living in. It's different times. A lot of stress is going on. Our kids are headed back to school. And today we want to just give some tips that's going to help parents and help students to achieve at a high level, to be able to excel. Even during tough times, I really believe that if you have strategy, you will do very well in regards to aiding your young people, your children, your nieces and nephews in obtaining high scholarly results. So I'm excited on today, or on this evening, to have with me Dr. Lydia Glover and Miss Bianca Robertson. How are you all doing on this evening?
Well, thanks for asking.
Very well, thank you.
Great, great. Well, we're just going to talk a little bit on this evening, and we want to talk about tips for successful school year 2020 and 2021. I believe this is going to be a different year, a year like we've never seen before, but I believe it's going to bring the best out of everyone, the best out of teachers, as well as the best out of students. I want to start off with you, Dr. Glover. What is the number one thing that, in your view, that a parent can do to help their children succeed in online learning?
All right. Once again, thank you for having me on this panel. And the one thing that parents should do is provide structure. Provide a checklist of things to do. Even if they have to get some chart paper and write down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that the kids stick to it because they are at home. Parents cannot include chores during the school day because they're in school. Parents cannot ask them to do simple things other than their homework. And constantly checking on them is also important. But once they get that foundational structure and start that structure and walk through that structure, then their day should go fine.
So how long do you think that it would take to establish a pattern, a structural pattern for the young people, for them to really,
at least the first 9 weeks. They need the first 9 weeks, unfortunately. Yeah, they need 9 weeks to do that. Yeah.
All right, so parents, 9 weeks. So that means, you can't get frustrated after the first week.
No, you cannot. Scientists say 3 weeks, but you're thinking about pre-K through 12th grade. Mm-hmm. And especially our babies, they need that structure. And even middle school, definitely middle school, we need that structure because we get so distracted and off task on different things. Going to the restroom can be off task. Having the kitchen right next to you can be off task. So being able to sit there and complete that work in a timely manner is the structure that they're going to have to use daily.
I think that's important because I've even noticed online with some of my students that strange things happen. Like I had a student that needed to go and talk to their parents and said, I need 10 minutes. Parents come in and they disrupt their children talking about other things.
Yes. You be getting groceries out the car. I need to go help my mom get the groceries out the car. No, baby, you in school.
Right.
But parents don't think that way because they're home. Right. And they've been home since March. So yeah, they have to have that structure.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. So Miss Robinson, yes, Bianca. My question is, segueing off of that, is it important to set up a learning area, and how would that contribute to the child's success?
Yes, sir. It's very important to set up a learning area, and that just goes back to what Dr. Glover was saying about creating structure for students. Having an area that is dedicated to the students' education and learning time is very important. It should be an area that is quiet and free from distraction. Like she said, you can't go take the groceries out of the car. You're in school, so that when you're in this space, this is a safe space. This is a space that is strictly for your education, is strictly for your learning time. So when you go into this location, wherever it is in your home, this is where you are for the entire time that you are working on your assignments, that you're listening to lectures from your teachers, unless it's a break time, or I know my school, we actually still did PE when we went to virtual learning. We'll continue with PE. So if you need to go out for PE class where you have to be outside or something like that, that's different. But when it's time for you to, like I said, listen to lectures, engage with your teacher and your peers, complete assignments, it's very important to have a designated space within your home for students to go and to work on their assignments.
That's powerful. Now, let me ask you this, Ms. Robinson. What is the difference between elementary and other grades? Now, you teach second grade, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So they're going to have a different set of struggle than the middle school or high school students. So what do you see as the most difficult challenge for second, first, second, third graders, fourth graders. By the time you get to fifth, I think you kind of transition to be a little more efficient. But in those early years, what would be the greatest challenge for them?
Yeah. I know for me, just since March, the greatest challenge I've seen is students wanting to have show and tell every day. You know, it's learning time, and they're bringing their pet to the screen. They're bringing their favorite stuffed animal. They have to use the restroom more times than what they're even allowed to. You know, in school, we allow them to go, you know, within reason. We never want them to have an emergency or an accident or anything like that. But you're at home, and now you're in the restroom every 5 minutes, and here I am trying to educate you. So I think, you know, for younger children, just really getting them to sit still and to remain focused during instructional time is probably the biggest struggle that I've seen.
Okay. And Dr. Glover, how about the middle school?
In March, middle school didn't just getting on. Yeah, they didn't get on. They didn't log in. They didn't complete the work. That was their excuse. They just did not log on. They didn't feel the need to. Somewhere down the line, they felt that they were going to get passed on anyway. I believe our governor made that mistake of saying some things. And so therefore the parents said, well, you don't have to do it. And so for those kids who really weren't 100% in already, did not really apply themselves. Those kids who were 100% in, they did the work because they needed that completion. But for those kids who just did not do the work, they did not log on, and the parents didn't force them to log in as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and because of the pandemic, you know, we had to take everything, you know, as is, and we didn't want to apply any pressure to the kids. But just like being in school, it would be the cell phone, it would be the video games, it would be babysitting our siblings or whatever. Those are going to be the problems for our middle schoolers.
I see. And I think the high schoolers will somewhat have similar challenges, even though I think that they're a little more efficient. By the time you get to 11th and 12th grade, you should be. But then I think that students still have a tendency to get away with what they can. So I think it's very important for the parents to really check in with their kids, make sure that they're check their kids' emails, no passwords.
Yes.
So they can see what's really going on, know how to check Skyward, the grade book. If a parent, no secrets.
No secrets.
There's no 007 going on in regards to students.
No
007 should be the parent.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Now let's differentiate between Launch Ed, because I think there's confusion. Launch Ed, Florida Virtual, and then I know we have Orange County Virtual. Now, the difference in Launch Ed is the kids' day is structured just like it's in school. They're in front of their computer, they go from class to class virtually. Florida Virtual, you get your assignments and you do them when you want to. You generally have a week to complete. You have to turn in so many assignments every week.
Right.
And you get some engagement with the teacher, but it's minimal engagement. You know, an email here, and I think the parents need to understand the difference. I know my child is in a Launch Ed, and she's a sophomore in high school, because I wanted to keep structure. I felt that if I had her in Florida Virtual alone at this stage, it's kind of like self-taught. That's what it is. You're self-teaching yourself. So what would be your recommendations, Dr. Glover, for kids that are elementary, middle school, and even a high school, depending on their acumen scholastically?
All right, so my son did virtual school. His first year was 7th grade doing Hope. And it is a self-paced course, but the parents are involved. The teachers do call. And the parents have to stay on top of the kids, because the kids think they can do it when they want to do it, but it still has to get completed. And if my son didn't complete something, she would call and say, hey, Caleb needs to do X, Y, and Z. And if he needs help, call me. But most kids don't call. They just do what they can do and they move on. But parents still have to be a part of that structure when it comes to virtual. For elementary kids through high school, if your parents aren't adamant about checking in on you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, then that's not going to work for you. It's not, because it's more teacher, parent, student when it comes to virtual school.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, Ms. Robinson, can you tell the audience about the importance of communicating with your students' teacher? You know, sometimes we have parents, we have a helicopter parent. I think we all know them. They fly in every other day. And be honest, I've had teachers or parents email me in the middle of class in my career, not in Orange County, but outside of Orange County. And when they emailed me, their student was telling them what was going on in class, and the parents trying to tell me how to teach my class. I call that a helicopter parent that needs to land quickly.
Mhm.
And then you have the parent that is just totally disengaged. They don't know what's going on.
Right.
They don't know Skyward. They don't know how to check the grades. They say, what email? Why is it important, or is it important for the parent to be in communication with the teacher?
Absolutely. It's very important. And I say, you know, parent, teacher, and student communication is a necessity when it comes to the education of students. Now, I'm with you, Pastor Lee. I don't really agree with that helicopter type parenting or communication where, you know, you're constantly being interrupted, or like you said, you know, parents are frequently coming in, and you know, we have a job to do. We're here to educate our students, and when students disrupt your class, it's unacceptable. And when you're getting a lot of you know, messages or emails or phone calls from parents during the school day when you're teaching their child, that's also a disruption. There have been times where I've had to, you know, share with a parent that, well, I didn't respond to you immediately because, you know, we were in class at the time, and just, you know, communicating that in a respectful way to parents is just, you know, remembering to create the boundaries. Again, reminding parents that at a specific time, I may not be able to respond because we are in class, and hopefully parents will actually appreciate that you're more engaged with their children than you are with your electronic device. So again, it's very important. It's important for me to be able to share with parents and keep parents abreast of what's going on in our class, what I'm observing when it comes to their child in particular, sharing strengths that I notice, and even sharing areas of weakness where we can continue to work more with their child. And then it's also important for parents to share with us as well. I believe that, you know, parents know their children a lot of times better than we do, especially when they come into our classroom. And I often ask parents the question, what works for your child at home that I may be able to implement within the classroom? So it's definitely a team effort, and the communication goes both ways. I believe that parents and teachers both have to be open when communicating and be receptive of one another as well, because like I said, it's a team effort. And the ultimate goal is to help our students to develop not only academically, but the whole person. You know, I'm a firm believer that we're part of the village that's preparing them for life. And if we don't communicate somewhere along the line, we're going to drop the ball.
Yeah,
That's very true.
Yeah. So communication is key in an helicopterish way. So how long do parents need to give? Because sometimes you get multiple emails. Parents, I've contacted you. I still haven't heard anything. Well, for me, I have 135 students. So can you imagine if I'm getting 50 emails from different parents, emails throughout the day from colleagues and then from administration? It takes time to work through those emails. Everyone has an emergency. Thus, how long should a parent wait before reaching back out after their initial email? Because parents can get very offended. Look, if I was a teacher, I didn't play. And then sometimes you'll get the parent, they get so upset and they call the school and say, I can't get no one. And I need to get this taken care of right now. And I'm not getting off the phone until I hear from someone. And all the administrators are just trying to keep it together at that point. So what's a good timeline that we can expect, for communication?
I believe it's usually 24 hours, but because I'm a parent, And I think both ways. I am that teacher that replies as quickly as possible, I don't like for parents to wait because I don't want to wait. So as soon as I get that email and I have the time to do it, then I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. I try, I do tell parents, I'll try to make sure that I respond. If you send me a message in the morning, I may try to respond to you on my lunch or, during planning. I do my very best, but I agree 24 hours. I typically tell parents, give me 24 hours, but I'll do my best to respond as soon as possible. Especially, previously being a kindergarten teacher, you may get a message from a parent that, someone else is picking the child up that day, or, it could be anything that's maybe of necessity that you don't want to miss, but just out of courtesy, I do ask for 24 hours just in case.
Right. Okay, I think that sounds good. So parents, please hear that, because there's a lot of communication coming in, and we're going to do our best to work through to all of you all so your kids can excel in every area. So, when the kids are inside, it gets claustrophobic. You have people cooking, everything's different. Everyone's not have that school lunch coming in. People aren't going to go to get that. So now you have the distractions of eating in the morning, somebody, frying chicken for lunch in the middle of the day with, fries and watermelon and, tacos. And
Okay.
sub sandwiches. We all, it's time to eat. Yeah. So
I'm hungry now.
You're hungry now.
I was about to say I'm hungry.
So I think that lunch is one of the things that the students are going to look forward to on a daily basis, because it breaks up the monotony of sitting in front of the computer all day long. Yeah. But then it can become claustrophobic because you're in the house. So how should kids balance their outside time? And I know this outside time, some of it may happen in lunch, some of it may happen before or after school, but there has to be balance with the kid not just staying inside. So either one of you can respond to that.
I know. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. You're fine, because I have no clue for middle school. I have no clue.
Earlier, Dr. Glover said something. She said create a schedule, and that is very important. Within that schedule, I would recommend that parents include a physical activity, a time where it's a break. I have a brother who is in elementary school, and one thing that my parents did for him during the spring was they created a schedule, and at a certain time each day, he knew that he would be going outside in the backyard to jump around on his trampoline or to shoot on the basketball goal. So just, implementing it within the schedule so that students know that at this time, I know that I'm going to have a break outdoors. And then also, especially for younger children, they know that, okay, this break is limited. School is not over. I'm still in school. This is really just my PE time at home. I have to go back inside. I have to get back to my workstation, and I have to continue learning and completing my assignments.
For middle school, our kids didn't like PE anyway. Their time to mingle was lunchtime.
Right.
Oh, and I think that for them to take a breakaway is to get on their cell phones or to play a video game. Something that has nothing to do with school would be their break time, especially if there are no parents home to supervise. If parents are home to supervise, that may work out a little better. But if mom is at work and dad is at work, or grandma is not coming in her room, they're going to do whatever they need to do to get that space, to get that freedom. So, yeah.
And I know that as a teacher, I need breaks. Anybody know me?
Yes, you do.
I'm known for my breaks.
Yes.
My hallway jaunts. And it's just being in a place. I think the struggle is a kid being in one room. They can't get up and leave the room as they normally would. And even as a teacher, I find myself, even the other day, in between classes, I got a chance to go outside the door. I walk down the sidewalk a little bit, just like I used to do in our hall, Dr. Glover.
Yep.
And I come right on back in and start with the next class. But I needed that.
Yeah.
Because it's monotony, just looking at the screen and talking.
Yes.
All day long. And then as an adult, and then so I have my planning and my lunches together. So that's about almost an hour and a half, or close to an hour and 20-something minutes. So I found myself, I was able to go to the car, go drive to school. I didn't need some engagement. Went and talked to the principal, went and talked to some colleagues, took care of a couple of things, jumped in my truck, drove back home. I was back home in time for my next class. Now, obviously, that will not be a common practice because I'll be teaching in the classroom, during this time. But if I need that type of break,
Yeah.
I think that parents and teachers have to cut a little slack
Yes.
for the student because it is mentally draining.
Yes.
You
Absolutely,
all agree?
I agree. Some of my colleagues, they joke with me all the time. They laugh. They say, the reason you understand the students so much is because you're like them. And I tell them, absolutely, and that helps me to give them grace because I understand that sometimes I need to stand up as well. Sometimes I need to go, like you said, Pastor Lee, I may need to go outside and take a walk, or in our case in the spring, take a drive as well. So I totally get it. And like you said, if I need a break, I'm pretty sure they do as well.
Oh, yeah. We took breaks even during class when school was still going on. I would take my kids and we would just walk around and do simple exercises in the midst of reading class because they needed it. You have to have a relationship with your kids and you have to sense that work right now is not the number one priority. So we would just walk around twice. And then when it's time to go back to class, do we have to go? I'm like, yeah, we have to. Can we do it again? And these are middle schoolers. So they need that break even within the class itself. So I know it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very, very hard. Definitely.
Yeah. So I think, the new normal, everyone has to have time to adapt. Adaptability is the number one trait for any species that's going to survive. We're dealing with COVID today. We've been blessed not to have to deal with the nuclear holocaust, but in reality, whenever the environment changes, that organism within it is going to have to adapt to make it. And I think that we can make it. The parents have to adapt, the student has to adapt, and the teacher has to adapt. I remember when Hillary Clinton and would talk quite a bit when she was first lady about it takes a village. And I think that in our educational approach, it's really taking a village right now.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to, as teachers, present curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's going to be pretty robust curriculum is going to be presented. But as a parent, should I also present independent work outside of that curriculum, like reading? I know you're a reading specialist, Dr. Glover, and some students don't read as well as others. So is it okay for parents to still have their kids read independently, even though they're at home outside of school hours? And if so, how can that be realistically integrated with all the other educational needs?
Well, most definitely, kids should always read. They should always read fiction and nonfiction. The fiction helps them take their lives into a whole nother world, to not really think about what's really going on in our present day. Nonfiction keeps them abreast on what's going on, so they can have that vocabulary to talk amongst their friends and their peers, to keep that vocabulary going, to keep that understanding of different words, and to be able to just communicate with each other. Reading has always been a passion of mine. I don't read as much as I do because I read with them, but I do believe that reading should always be in the forefront. And get the audiobooks, get a Kindle. There are a lot of books on YouTube. Don't make it that you have to have a book in front of you to read. Yeah, so listening to books is fine. Reading books is also fine. But yeah, reading throughout the whole curriculum, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. I know during the summer I had my daughter, she started her new book right now, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. And anybody know me, I'm very Afrocentric and Christ-centric.
Yes.
And so my daughter be like, I read another book about Black folks.
Yeah.
But once they get into it, I think that they give, especially during this season and during this time, I think it's very important that our kids are aware of what's going on politically. My first political memories was the 1981 presidential race between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Oh, wow.
My father was a Reagan fan.
Really?
And my mother was a Jimmy Carter fan. My dad said that Jimmy Carter was weak. My mother just didn't like Reagan. She loved Jimmy Carter. She took me to see Jimmy Carter. He waved his hand out the limo and would take me to see the Kennedys and all that stuff. Just, you know, and so I remember those things.
Right.
And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so political today, because I remember I've always had an interest in politics. And then on 1984, Jesse Jackson he ran for president, gave that arousing, he gave a great speech. Everybody was crying, even though they hadn't voted for him. But he gave a speech second to none. And I think that it's important for our kids to read, as you say, fiction. And then I think it's important for us, even during this time, to integrate what's going on
definitely
in the real world with our kids so they will be aware. Because, you know, in school, I found out the kids talk about all these things. I was a civics teacher last year, history teacher this year. So kids come in, they know everything that's going on. They know more than what I think, and they're really, really geared in, especially my students whose families just immigrated or migrated over to the country, you know, the last 12 or 15 months. They are geared into everything that's going on. So I really believe that it's important for our kids to really know what's happening. And I think that's a learning process. Even dealing with COVID, I asked my students to write 4 different areas, how it affected their personal life, their family, their educational pursuits, and their world. How has COVID shaped or reshaped their world? And through doing that, I started to teach them that you all just became recorders of history. You're eyewitnesses to what's going on. And if we take what you wrote, put it in a tin can or in a jar, dig down a foot and bury it, 50, 60, 100 years later, people will be able to open it up as a time capsule and be able to read from your account how you felt. Just like the Anne Frank story, how she felt, what she saw, the Diary of Anne Frank. So I think that our kids have to realize that they are playing an important part to educate. Even though they're just students, they play a major part in being able to record history. And
you just gave me an idea, the Diary of Anne Frank, because we studied the Diary of Anne Frank. And that would be a great thing to do every day, is to journal how you're feeling. How you're feeling in 2 or 3 sentences, how are you feeling that day? And then at the end of the year, we're gonna read that and see, are you still feeling that way? Or every quarter we can see, are you still feeling the way that you felt? And if so, tell me how. And how did you change the way you're feeling? But at the end of the day, every day for homework, I allow my kids to go to ABC News to watch. ABC News is a clipping, and to tell me what you're learning, because the news is also important.
Yes.
I mean, reading is good, but watching the news and learning what's going on is very, very important. Right now, it's just as important as reading, because you have to know what's going on.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I really believe that if the kids know at an early age, that will form a lot of their thoughts, their constructs of thoughts, their premise arguments, as well as their future, even in what they want to do, because you develop a passion early. So I think during this time, it's a great time. Look, adults are assessing and reassessing their lives. Young people now are getting the time to look and say, what is it to be an adult? Is this what really goes on? Everyone's thinking differently. And as educators, it's an exciting time when we get to help shape the way our young people think and help give them the tools.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the blessings inside of COVID that we have to see. You have to find a blessing and a lesson in everything that goes on.
Yes.
And
even in the election, there's something going on. Yeah.
There's something going on. Right. Right.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So I think that it's so important for our kids to really be engaged. So what we're saying is be engaged in your curriculum, And then parents, make sure you have extracurricular things that you challenge your kids with so they are engaged in the real world, understanding what's going on in these times.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very important. And that will produce a balanced student, a more educated student. It's nothing like a student that can come and tell you about current events. My son, when he was a senior, he developed he was always into the news or things that was going on. So he could go to his teachers and just talk, hey, what's going on? You hear what's going on today? And teachers love to engage students about those type of things. Matter of fact, even engaging students sometimes help that A- become an A with some teachers, not y'all other teachers. So I'm just saying, so it's very important for your kids to be engaged in what's going on, and it'll help them be a more balanced student. So parents should encourage the students to work independently as well as complete their curriculum. Parents are going to get frustrated. Any tips for parents as they get frustrated? They don't get frustrated with their student. They may see a grade not the same. There's slippage in grades. And our kids are kind of isolated to a certain extent. So how should the parent respond to that kid?
Ooh, I'm a parent, so it's going to be tough. I know it's nothing that I can't work through, but I have to also think as a teacher and as a parent. And I know just communication is key, talking to your child, talking to the parent, because just this first week, it was rough because I didn't know what to do. And then trying to figure out what's going on with him and then what's going on with me, and we're both failing. And it was very confusing. So you just have to breathe. Just step outside and breathe. And I say the prayer with my son, and I say the prayer with my kids, the serenity prayer. You just have to accept the things that you cannot change and have wisdom to know the difference. So yeah, just breathe, because it's not your fault. That's my whole thing. It's not your fault. You can't change it. It's not your fault. So we're gonna make do, and that's it. But while making do, we still got to be somewhat doing what we supposed to do. Don't just make do and don't do anything. Do what you're supposed to do, and then when things don't work accordingly, then you've done all that you can do. But you have to do something. Yeah, you have to do something.
Absolutely. And I know I had a parent say to me in March that he wished that we'd been better prepared, and not we as educators or our school, but just we, everyone. And he was just, sharing his feelings with me. And I thought, jokingly, I wish that COVID-19 had told me it was coming too. I wish we could have prepared for it, and we couldn't. So it's definitely an uncomfortable time, but like Dr. Glover said, sometimes you just have to breathe. I wear an Apple Watch, and every so often I get a notification says breathe. And sometimes I don't really feel like stopping and doing it, but the times that I have, I really see the difference that it makes just getting in a quiet place, sometimes just closing my eyes, taking a deep breath, inhaling, exhaling, prayer, lots of prayer works. If you haven't tried it, I recommend that you do. Prayer works. And I believe in mindset. The mindset that you have will be the result that you produce. So if you have a positive mindset, even in challenging times, you will see positive results. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy, but you have to say, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm in this for the long haul. And earlier last school year, and around September, the Lord was really dealing with me on some things, and he showed me that there would be some challenging times approaching, and I didn't really know exactly what he meant. And when I got to March, I said, man, Lord, I wish you told me this is what it was. But and what he showed me is that for those who endure, if we just endure, there is a reward in the end of all of this. And I know this is about education, so I'm not trying to become over spiritualized, but like Pastor Lee said, I'm Christ-based, I'm Christ-centered. So like I said, the Lord really dealt with me on this. And I do believe that when we keep him as our center and stay in prayer and stay faithful to the process, The process is not always comfortable, but the process is necessary.
Definitely.
There's going to be a great reward for those of us who remain faithful. And like I said, mindset. If you have a negative mindset, I can guarantee that you're going to have a negative outcome. And if a student is not always doing 100% what you would like for them to do, or your child isn't, that doesn't equate to failure. You know, don't feel like they're failing because they may not be performing to the level of our expectation. Don't lower our expectation, but continue to work with them and continue to be patient with them and help pull them up to that level of expectation. But one thing we cannot do is to quit in this time, because this is not the time to quit.
Exactly. You cannot quit. That is so true. We cannot quit.
I want each and every one of you, starting with Bianca Robinson, just to tell us maybe some parting words for parents and for students to give them hope and inspiration in going into this new school year.
I would like to start by saying we are in this together. That's not just a cliche. Your teachers are here for you. We love you. We're here to provide you with any support that we can. Just know that this is just a season, and we will come out of this. Stay focused and never settle for less. Do your best and give it all you got.
Patience is a virtue. So if you don't have it, get some, because you're going to need it. And don't let anything overwhelm you, because some things you cannot control. Know those things you cannot control. Control those things you can, and everything will work out well.
And I just want to encourage everyone. This has been a great night. I'd like to thank all of our guests for being here, sharing from their expertise, tips, and pointers to help parents and students do well and to thrive. We're not surviving, but we want to thrive during this time of our educational pursuits during COVID-19. So there is hope at the end of the tunnel. I always say tough times don't last, but tough people do. Dr. Robert Schuller. So we're tough people. And if we're tough people, we can outlast tough times. So let's work with our students, let's work with our teachers, and let's build a relationship second to none, teacher, parent, student, and let's excel beyond any expectation. This is a special time, it's a tough time, but during tough times, the best comes out of us all. So again, thank you to everyone for tuning in, joining in, share this video throughout social media, and look, it's my prayer that all of our students and our teachers have a blessed year wherever you are in the nation. God bless you.